Hi everyone, welcome to the Paul Chandler Show. I am your host, Paul Chandler. In today's episode, we'll be covering AAPC certification exam tips, and I'll be showing you the 4-3-2-1 system that I created. Now, first though, a word from our sponsor right quick, the Specialty Coder Institute, providing 42 medical coding certifications for coders and billers, and 42 medical documenter certifications for physicians, nurses, medical and physician's assistants. So check out specialtycoder.com for more information and help to jumpstart your career a little bit quicker right about now. And also a quick plug, if you don't mind, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're on a computer, you can click the little pineapple right there at the bottom right corner of your screen. If you're on a mobile device or a tablet, then you can check out the link in our description of this video. Now, with this education here on the exam tips, I'm going to be going away in a moment, and I'll be doing full screen, and you'll be watching me work the questions in Microsoft Word. So that way I can mark them up, just like if you'd be marking up the paper exam. So, here we go. And a disclaimer before we begin, that the Paul Chandler Show is not affiliated with the AAPC Medical Coding Certification Organization. Now, diving into the 3 examples, I'm going to show you how I work the system. That way you can maximize your time and not only finish the AAPC multiple choice style coding certification exams on time, but then you should be able to have enough time to actually go back and review any questions that you like just to take a double check on before you turn in your exam. Now, the first example with the burns that we have in this situation. Now, everyone has a different level as far as retainment and also how fast they read. And so, for example, my rule is when I'm looking at exams, if the question is more than 3 lines, so example, if the question was just this long, then I would read the question, then start looking at the multiple choice options. But for me personally, especially in the test anxiety format of the exams, if it's more than 3 lines, then when I start reading the 4th line, I kind of sort of maybe start forgetting what the first line was about. So then that way, in this scenario, we have 4.5 lines. So I'm going to go straight to the multiple choice options. But I can tell that with this situation, this question, we're dealing with burns. And I only care about the diagnosis codes. So with burns, what I'm going to do first is scan the question itself and see how many different percentages that we have. Because remembering that with burns, how we'll have one code in the T20 through T30 range for every burn that we have. And that one code in the T20 through T30 range, that will give us the generic location and the specific location of the burn. It'll tell us the severity, the laterality, and if it applies, and then also the type of encounter. But what the T20 through T30 range does not tell us the percentages, the TBSA, or the total body surface area. That's where the code T31 comes in if we're talking about the TBSAs for a burn, or T32 if we're talking about the TBSAs for a corrosion. So however many different percentages I have in my documentation, that will tell me 1 percentage for each location. So however many locations for the percentages I have in the T20 through T30 range, then I'll need one more code to give me a code for the percentage, the T31 or T32. So for example, just scanning through, and as far as looking at the question, there's what I refer to as reading, scanning, and skimming. Reading is when you're going at the speed, so where however fast you are at reading, that when you're going through the information, you're looking at the words, you're analyzing them, and you're retaining that information. You do not want to do that during the exam. You're going to really mess up your timing on that. So that's the highest level. The lowest level, skimming, that's when you're just going super, super quick and you are going to miss what you're looking for. Sure, you're not retaining the information, but any kind of keywords you need, you're going to miss it. That's why I call it scanning. So scanning is the point where you're going fast enough so you're not retaining the information, but when you're going through the lines, anything that, any kind of keyword you're looking for, or key phrase possibly, you'll notice it in the documentation. So dealing with burns, I want to deal with just the percentages, since like everyone, everyone's different, but for me, numbers stick out better than words do. So just scanning through the question, and I see that there's 3 different percentages there. So right off the bat, I know I need to have 4 codes in my ABCD options. T20 through T30 is going to be 3 codes, 1 for each of the percentages that I have listed in the documentation. Then that 4th code for the TBSA, the total body surface area. So I know that right off the bat, alpha is not the right answer. That's only 3 codes, and I need 4. And Charlie is not the right answer, because that's however many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that's 6 codes there. Now then, looking at the codes, because I need 4 codes altogether, because I have 3 locations. Okay, so then now though, I notice I don't have any options that have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I want to check to see possibly if any of these codes are giving me for 2 different locations. So in this case, now I need to look at a little bit more context. So the 4.5% is the 3rd-degree burns of the anterior and posterior portion of the left leg, starting at the knee. Okay. But then the left side of his chest. And then also the 2nd-degree burns of the posterior portion of his upper back and the left arm, giving me 13.5%. So this one is actually a little bit tricky, and we actually have altogether 4 different locations, because that 13.5% gets broken down to the upper back being 1 location, and then the left upper arm being a 2nd location. So now I actually know with the percentages, and they will do possibly these kind of tricky questions in there, but now I know I have specifically though 4 different locations. So now we need to have a total of 5 codes. So Bravo, B as in Bravo, D as in Delta, gives me those 5 codes that I need. Now then, what I'm going to do next though is I'm just going to look up the percentages and count them up. So 4.5%, 4.5% is 9%, plus 13.5% is 22.5%. So right off the bat, without even looking up any codes, I can tell that the answer is delta, D as in Delta, because I have 22.5% burns, and the T31.31 tells me that the total body burned in that 4th category is between 30 to 39%. But in T31.20, that 4th character tells me that the total body burned is between 20 and 29%. So right there, because T31.31 is in Bravo, T31.20 is in Delta, that's the only total body surface area that has the correct number. So, but then by that, I can eliminate out Bravo, giving me the correct answer, Delta. Now, I personally have the T31 and T32 codes memorized, just from doing it over and over again. But let's say if you don't have it memorized and were to actually look up the code itself, that's fine. That's still only looking up one diagnosis code. And out of all the different options here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Nope, that one used. Oh, no, that's a different one. 16. That's a repeat. 17, 18. So between 18 different diagnosis codes listed in the 4 choices, being able to get this question only looking up one code out of 18. That's a pretty darn good ratio there. So in this case, saving a lot of time, kind of working that system first, process of elimination, and then only looking up the one code that we needed to. But now in this scenario though, the T31 code was different. But let's just say though, and I'm just going to change this a little bit. Let's just say hypothetically though, both of these options were T31.20. Okay, so then we need to figure out, we process elimination. Again, so I just changed in Bravo. That was T31.31, and I just changed that to T31.20. Just to make it a little bit more difficult as far as the options. Let's say if that were to work, then I would not look up the T31.20 code. Because kind of stepping back, how we know we have 4 different locations, since the 13.5% counted for 2, the upper back and the left upper arm. Knowing I need 5 codes altogether takes me to Bravo and Delta. The T31.20 is the same now in both both in a B and D options. So then I'm in the process of eliminate. And with the B and the Ds, I like to go left to right just so I don't lose my place. So I'm going to look up T21.399A first. So I go left to right, but then when I have no other similarities to work with my options, then I go in A, B, C, D order. So again, so I don't lose my place. So I'm going to look up the diagnosis code T21.399A first. If that is a valid code, great. My answer is going to be Bravo. I'm not going to look up any codes in Delta because that T21.399A is not in any of my options in Delta. But if it is a bad code, then I'm going to eliminate Bravo out and process elimination. I'm going to choose Delta without looking up any of those 4 codes. You see, so T21.399A, looking up that code. Actually, that's not a valid code because that's the wrong format. T21.39 gives me 5 characters in the ICD-10 book. It has the 7th TH in blue. Knowing I need the 6th character needs to be an X to get to 7th character A. And that, I think that's a little bit better so you can see it. There, and that 6th character there is a 9. So that 9 needs to be, there we go. That 9 needs to be an X to make that T21.39 code valid. So that eliminates out T21.399A because that is not a real code, leaving me then with Delta still as my answer. So in that case, still only looked up one code. Since again, the T31.20 was the same code, can eliminate that out between Bravo and Delta. I looked up the first code, it did not work, crossed it out, leaving me with the only option of Delta left. I said, and for time management, I'm not going to look up any of those codes. I really don't care because I know it has to be correct because I eliminated the other options out. That's 1 out of 18. 18 different possible diagnosis codes. Now for question number 2, like I said earlier, I'm just typing this up in Microsoft Word, so ignore the red wavy line underneath the medication singular. Apparently Word does not like how it's spelled. That's just how it's in Word, so that way I can highlight and make notations in here. Now looking up the codes, in my ABCD options, this is definitely more than 2 lines, so I'm not going to look at the question itself. I'm going to start eliminating out my codes. So with that 4321 system, any codes that are in there 4 times have to be a valid code because it's in all 4 options, so I can now eliminate it out. So J34.2 is in there 4 times. So the only reason why I would look up that code is if I just need, say if I'm really, really stuck at the end, if I just need it for context. But then besides that, then we have what codes are in there 3 times. So then, see, I have the 31231 is in there 3 times. But notice that the modifiers are different. But I'm still counting this because of the code itself. So if I need to, I can eliminate out based on the modifiers later. See, there's no other code that's in there 3 times. Codes that are in there twice. Let's see, 31575. And see, 31576 is in there twice. Oh, and kind of running out of colors that will show on the screen. J37.1 is in there twice. And J41.8 is in there twice. Let's do that right. J41.8. So this is letting me know that I'm liking alpha and Bravo. The only differences, though, are the modifiers. So what I'm going to do first, though, is, because alpha, notice how alpha and Bravo both have the modifiers, 59 in the 31231, but Bravo has the modifier 50 in there. Okay, so I'm going to look up code 31231 and try to eliminate out because of the modifier issue. So in my CPT book, 31231, what is that procedure? Nasal endoscopy, diagnostic, unilateral or bilateral, separate procedure. Okay, so right off the bat, I can cross out the 31231 modifier 50, because that modifier 50 makes it a bad code, because the code itself is already bilateral. 31231 says, again, nasal endoscopy, diagnostic, unilateral or bilateral, separate procedure. So if I were to add modifier 50 to it in Bravo, then that would be saying I possibly could be saying I bilaterally did the bilateral procedure, and last time I checked humans, we only have 2 nostrils, not 4. So unless if you're an alien or extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call it, from, say, Star Trek, we cannot have the 31231 with modifier 50 on it. So that would eliminate out Bravo in that case. Now then, I would like this. If I was a crunch for time, I would choose alpha and go on. But, so the 31231 modifier 59 and the 31231 modifier 51. How that is in alpha and delta. So again, so if I was a crunch for time, I would just choose alpha and go on. But let's say though, if you're good for time, then I would want to look at 31575 and 31576 to see if that's what we did. So, and again, like I said before, I go in ABCD order. So I'm going to look at 31575 first and see what is going on. 31575, laryngoscopy, flexible diagnostic. Okay, so we have another scope here. So I'm just going to scan through, and see if a doctor did a diagnostic laryngoscopy. So that is the only word that I'm scanning for. A flexible diagnostic to determine if something, okay, something. I don't care anything more about that. I see the term laryngoscopy. And I'm scanning again. See, next, a flexible laryngoscope was introduced. Okay, great. The diagnosis is, okay, we have a diagnosis. And by I mean, I stopped reading up the word diagnosis. The doctor is giving prescription, and that's it. So the patient did have a diagnostic laryngoscope done. So that would mean 31575 is a valid code, yes. So then that would make alpha our correct answer then. And in this scenario, and so I only looked up 31231 and 31575. I didn't look up any diagnosis codes, don't care about those, because I was able to process eliminate it out. And with the different amount of codes that we have, including the different modifiers, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 different codes, including no different combinations of modifiers, and I only looked up 2 of the codes. 3, 12, 31, modifier 59, and I technically didn't even verify the modifier difference, 51 and 59, but I did look up the code 31231 and the 31575. Again, so 2 codes out of 10, that's only 20%. That's less than half, which is the good amount of codes to have to look up or less. Ooh, wow, another doozy. Yay. Another doozy as in a long question that I'm not going to read. So, working my ABCDs here, because this is definitely more than 3 lines. And so out of the options here, there's no codes that are in there 4 times. There's no codes that are in there 3 times. We do have a whole lot of codes that are in there twice. 15004, modifier 51. 14301 is also in there twice. $14,021 is in there twice, but we have the different modifier issue. How alpha has modifier 22 and Bravo does not. So right off the bat here, I'll admit I'm liking delta for 2 reasons. For one, because true, Bravo and Delta both have 2 CPT codes. And in my experience, this is way too long of a question to only have 1 procedure code go with it. If this entire question was, let's say, half the size, okay, yeah, that could be 1 CPT code in there. But I'm not even going to count how many lines there are because I really don't care. It's way too big to just be for 1 procedure code. It could be, but probably not. So I'm leaning more towards the length of this question, me needing 2 CPT codes. And then why I'm also leaning towards Delta instead of Bravo, even though both of them have those same codes. I'm sorry, both of them have 2 codes in there. Because how Alpha has that modifier 22 in there, that makes it, yes, they're the same code, but the 14021 is still different. So going with the similarities, Charlie and Delta both have the 14301 with no modifiers in there. So I'm going to start working towards Delta in that case. Now, earlier I said how ignore the red wavy lines because this is Microsoft Word. Same thing for the double blue lines under the word together. It's just that Microsoft Word is not like how the grammar is. I'm not going to correct it. We're just going to go with it. So me leaning towards Delta. So I'm going to look up in the CPT book code 14301 and see what's going on with that. 14301, adjacent tissue transfer or rearrangement, defected area, 30.1 to 60 square centimeters. Okay, so I just care about size measurement, and that's it. So just scrolling through the different, let's see what's going on. I'm looking for a numbers. It's got to be bigger than 1, so don't care about that. 5, okay, what's that? 35R skin stapler. We got just the size of the stapler, don't care about that. Here you go. Final measurements of the wound were 36.25 centimeters squared. So I care about that part. Because there, I got my lovely number right there. So 36.25 is between 30.1 and 60 square centimeters. So I need to see, though, is the doctor doing adjacent tissue transfer or rearrangement to have this closed? So then now looking up, I need to scan through and see what the doctor is actually doing. Closing the wound, resection, Both flaps were rotated together, so that means a rotation flap. Rotation flap being one of the types of the adjacent tissue transfers rearrangements. So that would make 14301 a valid code. So I'm underlining it in Charlie and Delta. And I'm eliminating out Alpha and Bravo. So, sorry, there we go. So now I need to see, though, if 15004 is a valid code or not. If it is, my answer is Delta. If it's not, my answer is going to be Charlie. 15004. Surgical preparation or creation of a recipient site by excision of open wounds, burn or scar. So essentially, is the doctor getting the recipient area ready for it? So scanning through. Wound preparation was done by excising blah, 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 blah. I don't care about the rest of that. Yep, I see wound preparation was done. So that would make 15004 a valid code. So then I can eliminate out Charlie, and giving me the answer there is Delta. Now that option, or I should say that question, did take a little bit more work. We actually had to scan for some keywords in there, but we still only looked up 1, 2, 3. So we had 3 different codes altogether, and a modifier issue with 22, giving us 4 different options, and we still only looked up 3 of them. Because true, we only looked up 2 out of the 3 codes, but we did not have to take the time. Let's say if 14021 was a valid code, we didn't look it up, but say if we did and it was, then we'd have to analyze the documentation to see if we would need modifier 22 or not. So that extra time looking up that modifier issue is what is I would consider that to be just like looking up another code, because how much it would take. So looking up the 4 different options that we had available, we only needed 2 of them. So that's still half, which is pretty darn good. So working the 4321 system, so just go through, and any code options that are in there 4 times, it has to be good. Then start with the codes that are in there 3 times. Then notate those. Then the codes that are in there twice. Notate those, and after the codes that are in there twice, that's when you start looking up codes. So again, if the code you look up is good, you can eliminate out the 2 options that does not have that code. But if the code is bad, then you can eliminate out the 2 codes that do have that option, and then work the rest of the codes there. And we do want to thank you for watching this education today. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel computer, little pineapple right there, just go clicky clicky. If you are on a mobile device or a tablet, the link is in the description of this video as well. And also please like this video and check us out on facebook.com/The Paul Chandler Show. And in tomorrow's episode, we'll be doing a surgical tutorial on cabbages. So coronary artery bypass graft, not that nasty, healthy green stuff we're supposed to eat, but the coronary artery bypass graft. We'll be looking at a surgical video of it. Then I'll be explaining the coding on the procedure side and diagnosis as well. So on behalf of all of us here, the cast and crew of The Paul Chandler Show, we do thank you for watching this video today. Live long, do good, and prosper.